As he pulls his head out of the snow and removes the cloth from his head, everyone is surprised to see him. Captain Lu looks at him and says, "Oh, it's Lai Lao." Senki is also surprised to see this. She starts crying because he is her fiancé. And then he looks at everyone and says, "Oh, I have seen you after a long time." Actually, this person's name is Lai Lao and he has thrown fallen crops. And then all the animals present here show no reaction. Lu fancies that everyone is strangely surprised to see that person. It seems like they know him. And then he looks at the captain and asks, "Hey, Captain Lu, do you know him?" Captain Lu replies very seriously that yes, I know him. He was the silver insignia officer of the Griffin Regiment. He was also Senki's fiancé. And when Senki first joined the Griffin Regiment, Lai Luo was the one who brought him here. And after their engagement, Lai Luo disappeared during a mission to investigate the blood moon, and who would have thought that he would turn into a fallen corpse? Chen Zong gets irritated hearing this and says that this is not the time to talk. Meanwhile, Senki's condition is getting worse because she lost her fiancé. And when she sees him like this today, she breaks down badly and sits on the ground and cries. Lu Fan doesn't feel good for Sister Sen and then sees Senki crying saying that Lai Luo is my love. What? Don't you miss me? Where are you coming to me? Then suddenly she starts getting confused and she feels someone standing in front of her and saying I miss you too. And then when she lifts her head and looks around, it is actually Lai Luo and she is in her normal state. And she sees Lu and then Lulu says, I finally found you. Senki loses her patience at that very moment and starts crying while hugging Lai Luo and says, it is really you. I can't believe you are with me. And then she says, everyone will be so happy to know that you are still alive. Suddenly a powerful demonic energy appears behind Lulu, and he says that I am not going back now. He asks Senki, will you stay with me? Senki is surprised to hear this. After this, Lulu pulls Senki towards herself and starts trying to make him agree to her point, and says that you all have to stay here and serve the god who is going to wake up in some time. Hearing this, Senki gets scared and says, Luo, what are you planning to do? Actually, Senki is unconscious. Lu Fan is trying to bring Senki back to consciousness by making him sit on his lap. Lu Fan shouts, Sister, come to your senses. Sister Shin, come to your senses. And then Lulu says, if you listen to me, then I will give you the essence of God and give you unimaginable power. And become a servant of God's glory and dedicate everything to the resurrection of God. Lu Fan is still trying to make Senki come to his senses and says, Sister Senki, don't listen to him. You are getting confused listening to him. And then he says, if you don't listen to me, then there will be only one result for you. Senki was not able to understand anything. She was just saying one thing, Lai Luo, don't do this. Don't do that. Lu says, if you don't listen to me, then you will be torn to pieces by the puppets of the fallen corpse. And you will also become one of them. And then you will become a walking corpse. Lu Fan shouts loudly, Senki, come to your senses. And then after some time, he succeeds in bringing Senki to his senses. Senki regains consciousness. She panics. Senki doesn't get time to understand what is happening. Lu Fan explains to Senki that Sister Senki snapped out of it. You are confused. And then Lula sits on his horse and says, answer me. Answer what I asked you. Will you stay with me and serve God with me or not? The captain gets angry hearing this because Lula wanted to take Sen with him. And then he says to Lu Fan, hey Fan, Lu Fan, can't let him take Senki's coke. And we are in the middle of so many fallen bodies. Can you save Senki, Lu Fan? Lu Fan is looking at him very seriously and thinking to himself, what should I do? What kind of power should I use? Chen Zhong sees this and says, hey, Captain Lu, there are hundreds of monsters here. Even if we chase Lu Fan, we will get separated. And if we don't repair that signal post, we won't be able to find them next time. Captain Lu replies, we don't have to worry about the post anymore. We should get away from here. We should just run away and save our lives. Lu Fan now understands how to fight this situation now. And he smiles and says, I don't think it's a good idea to run like this. We don't have to run. Everyone looks at Lu Fan and wonders what he is going to do. Lu Fan raises his hand at the same time and strong power appears in his hand. Qin Zhong yells at Lu Fan and says, "Hey, wait, you're not planning another massacre, are you?" Our hero Lu Fan replies, "Yes, you're absolutely right." At the same time, Lu Fan reveals his divine bow and says that since we have been granted military capability, yes, we must use it. Lu sees no answer and he understands this and says that this is your answer. You are refusing. And then he says that it is a shame that the only consequence of rejecting God is death. And at the same time, he orders all the animals to kill them all and turn them into puppets. All the animals run towards Li Fan screaming. Lu Fan activates Shadow Serpent Arrow at the same time and orders Qin Zhong to quickly get ready to cast the Sanctuary Shield. Qin Zhong replies that he understands and then he activates the Protective Shield at the same time. And asks what Lu Fan has to do next because the Sanctuary Shield power gives all allies a shield that absorbs damage equal to 200% of the caster's maximum HP lasting for 10 seconds. And its limit is only 10 seconds. Li Fan smiles and extends his hand and says you don't have to do anything more. The rest is up to me. And then he points his bow at Li Luo and uses Shadow Snake Arrow which fires an arrow of Black Surf after charging for 3 seconds. Which increases damage by 500%. And then he releases the Black Snake. Just as Lu Fan uses the Black Snake attack on him, Qin Zhong is shocked and says, "What do you mean you're not going to do anything else?" And then he tells that my Sanctuary Shield only lasts for 10 seconds. Lu Fan says, "Trust me, 10 seconds is enough." The Sanctuary Shield has 9 seconds left. Li Luo is shocked to see this scene. The remaining time of the Sanctuary Shield is 8 seconds. Lu Fan calls out to Zhao at the same time and says, "Reveal the form of the Dragon of Destruction." Zhao immediately transforms into her destructive form. Flames appeared around her. She appears in front of Lu and begins to roar. With only 6 seconds left, Jiakai brutally attacks Lu Luo. Captain Lu is shocked to see this and says, "Lu Fan, we are trusting you." As Lu Fan attacks Lu Luo, a terrifying energy is generated. Everyone is protected because of the shield. But now the shield time was only 5 seconds. Meanwhile, Qin Zhong and Sun Qi take Captain Lu to the other side. Now the shield was only for 4 seconds. Lu Fan takes out his dragon sword at the same time and orders Zhao to attack with it. Both Lu Fan and Zhao move towards Lu Luo together. Lu Fan uses the power to cut the sky at the same time, which increases the dragon energy twice in a row. The dragon pet synchronizes with the attack of 2 claws filled with dragon energy. Meanwhile, Jiakai stands up and roars very loudly. Lava appears all around. And then he uses the power of catastrophe. The area through which the Dragon of Destruction passes explodes, causing massive damage and burning. And then in this cataclysm, all the puppets burn to ashes. Now with only 2 seconds left, the shield was about to run out. Qin Zhong and all of Sen's men are shocked to see this and say, "Oh my god, what skill is Lu Fan using? Is this some kind of forbidden dragon magic?" On hearing this, Captain Lu replies, "This is just a fight between a dragon rider and his dragon." Killing a 1,000-year-old ferocious beast is like cutting grass for Lu Fan. Here Lu Liao's condition worsens and his horse also breaks and he falls to the ground. But Lu Fan reaches out to him to catch him. Because he was Sen's fiancé, who had now become a demon. Lu Luo falls to the ground. Sun Qi immediately runs to her and lifts her into his arms. Meanwhile, Zhu Zi also transforms into her second form. And Lu Fan says, "Sister Sun Qi, are you okay?" Looking at Lu Luo, it seemed as if his soul was coming out. Qin Zhong was also standing there and he says, "Hey Lu Fan, I think first we should tie this Lu Luo with chains so that he cannot escape from here." Listening to this, Lu Fan says, "No, we don't need to tie him up as he understands Sun Qi's situation. She loved him and was crying for him. She won't like it if her fiancé is tied up like this." And then he tells Chang Kong that there is no need for this. He won't be able to escape from here as long as I am here. Sun Qi starts crying badly seeing him and says, Lu Luo, or it is you, isn't it? And then she says, I can't tell you how gentle Lu Luo was. He was so good, but now he has changed because of this. Then suddenly we see a purple aura start appearing around him. Everyone gets shocked seeing this. Slowly a lot of aura starts coming out of his body. Seeing this, Lu Fan thinks to himself that hey, this is the energy of the fallen corpse. After the energy of the fallen corpse comes out, Lu Luo regains consciousness and says, leave this place, leave this place. Sun Qi replies that you have come back and be patient. You will be fine. Lu Luo also starts crying. Tears start coming from his eyes and he says that more fallen corpses have gone from this place. And there are more ruins inside. Don't let this happen. Then suddenly while talking, Lu Luo's hand slips from Sun Qi's hand and he falls on the ground. This confirms that he is dead. Sun Qi starts screaming badly. Lu Luo starts crying and hugs him. And she says, even though it came for a few seconds, it was really my Lu Luch friends. The story ends here. Want to see what happens next? Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. See you in the next chapter. Even though it came for a few seconds, it was really my Lu Luch friends. The story ends here. Want to see what happens next? Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. See you in the next chapter. Friends, today's chapter is going to be very interesting. Because today our hero Lu Fan will be successful in finding a new dragon egg. Let's begin today's chapter. Friends, when Senior 2 asked Lu Fan who will we test it on? Because we can't test it on a human. Then Lu Fan replied, you don't have to think about it because I will test it on my dragon. Senior Uncle looks at Lu Fan seriously and says, what do you mean Lu Fan? Don't act so weird. We can't use it on a living person, and besides that we can't use a dragon. However, Xiao Ji is not affected by the blood moon. We know this, but what if something goes wrong? Who will be responsible for this? Because not only will it be a huge loss, but it can also be very dangerous. How will that situation be handled? Hearing the words of the senior, Lu Fan starts smiling and gestures with both hands. And says, hey senior, please calm down, you have misunderstood me. The dragon I mentioned and the one I will use this crystal on is not actually my pet dragon. Senior Uncle is surprised to hear this, because Lu Fan has more dragons besides the 5 dragons. After a while, everyone is going to the open space to test it out. And Senior Uncle wants to ask about the dragons. And he says, hey Lu Fan, I saw your battle with Ruan Chen Fan. And I want to know if you have any other dragons besides the 5 dragons. Lu Fan replies, Senior Uncle, you're wrong about that. Of the 5 dragons I have, 2 of them are not my pet dragons. But they appear when I summon dragons. Senior Uncle listens to Lu Fan and thinks that it is amazing to summon your pet's pet. Meanwhile, Lu Fan calls out to Xiao Fei and tells Xiao Fei to come forward and summon the twin flying dragon kings. Xiao Fei listens to Lu Fan's words and immediately summons the kings. The flying dragon kings appear at the same time and start roaring loudly. The main feature of this dragon is that Dragon Bone Float summons identical twin flying dragons and their level is equal to the user's level. Senior Uncle is surprised to see this. And thinks to himself, this is the summoning of his pet dragon. This is so amazing. And this holy girl has summoned the dragon and she is its final owner. He will completely listen to it. It looked very big and scary in appearance. Keeping this in mind, Senior Uncle asked Lu Fan, hey Lu Fan, don't you have any other simple dragons we can test this on? Lu Fan replies that the Flying Dragon King is the weakest of the 5 dragons and why should he become a slave to a fallen corpse? But we can kill him easily and won't face much danger. And then he holds the crystal in his hand and thinks that as a summon, it can be summoned after death without any damage, making it a great test subject. Senior Uncle immediately raises his weapon and points at Lu Fan, saying, then let's begin. Lu Fan calls Xiao Fei over and says, "Xiao Fei, let the flying dragon swallow this crystal." And then Lu Fan immediately throws the crystal to the flying dragon. The flying dragon swallows it immediately when it sees it coming towards it. As the flying dragon swallows the crystal, its color changes after a while. His purple aura appears all around him and he roars loudly. The purple aura from his mouth surrounds him. Everyone is shocked to see this. Even Xiao Fei is shocked. Senior uncle immediately springs into action upon seeing this. He moves forward to attack the flying dragon and says to Lu Fan, "Hey Fan, back off or else you will become a slave to a fallen corpse." Lu Fan signals senior uncle to stop and says, "Senior uncle, I think we should wait a bit." One dragon roars loudly, while the other dragon emits a purple aura. Lu Fan sees this and says that killing it right now would be useless. Senior uncle sees this and says, "Lu Fan, the other one is also turning into a fallen corpse. And if we don't act now, it will be too late. Then we won't be able to handle the situation." Lu Fan understands the situation and then he orders Xiao Fei to say that you are their master and try to regain control from the ancient god's dominance. Xiao Fei stands in front of them at the same time and raises his hand, causing a divine light to appear around them. He then activates Emerald Light, which provides the target with a layer of Emerald Blessing, and removes all debuffs and increases the damage of all experts by 30%. Each layer can block one instance of damage. Lu Fan explains that the twin flying dragon kings are of the Dragon Ink type, so Xiao Fei's dual effects cannot apply to them. And it seems that Xiao Fei wants to continuously emit Emerald Light to resist the ancient god's control. Senior uncle is surprised to see this and says, "Hey Lu Fan, can this method really work?" The deep purple aura around them still hasn't disappeared. It is visible all around. Emerald Light bursts out and the dragon starts roaring loudly. Meanwhile, Xiao Fei is continuously emitting reading light at them. Senior uncle gets confused and takes out his weapon and tries to rush forward. He asks Lu Fan, "What's going on here?" Lu Fan immediately stops him and says, "They are not slaves of the fallen corpse and they have also obtained the power of the ancient god at the same time. The system shows that the fallen corpse demon is known as Dragon and its level has reached 22. And its main power is the elemental dragon breath demon which sprays dragon breath on a target, causing magical damage. Targets killed by this breath will be resurrected as demon dragon puppets and fight for their side. The second power is Soul Charge Demon Dragon Charge. The corpse demon wraps itself in aura armor and attacks the target, inflicting damage and reducing 99% of damage received, while reflecting received skill effects. And the third power is this. Dragon Tongue Unleashing. Unleashes the Dragon Tongue magic, with Demon Dragon Breath replaced by the Dragon Tongue spell Forbidden Demon Dragon Curse, and Demon Dragon Charge replaced by the Dragon Tongue spell Doomsday Fall. Flying Dragon Bloodline Demon Dragon Bloodline. Reduces all received damage by 75%. And then Lu Fan tells them that they are not slaves of the fallen bodies, they have also acquired the powers of the ancient god. And then both dragons go and bow down to Xiao Fei, because they are subordinate to Xiao Fei. Lu Fan says at the same time, Xiao Fei has taken back the flying dragon king from the ancient god. You did a good job. Senior uncle says, "It seems that your theory was correct and the ancient gods really seize the soul after using the essence." Lu Fan replies, "The changes that happen to the dragon kings affect each other. Give them both a change. Which I didn't expect." And then Xiao Fei comes and hugs Lu Fan. Seeing this, senior uncle starts smiling and says, "It's good that you stopped me, otherwise I would have killed both of them." After saying that, he starts laughing. And he looks at our hero and says, "You two are lucky again with the demon dragon." Lu Fan says, "I can't wait to try the new skills of the fallen corpse demon dragon." And then Lu Fan asks if the mission the squad did has been stopped or it can still continue. Senior uncle replies, "Of course, both the ancient god minion and the ancient god essence have been validated. Now there is only one thing left. That is the temple." And then the next morning, Lu Fan sets out with his group to the ruins. Chan Kong says, "So is this the temple or that the ruins?" Lu Fan explains that the ruins Lu Luo mentioned have been discovered by the star-studded nation. The Golden Temple is indeed the same. After this, Lu Fan says that we have to explore this place to understand the awakening of the ancient god. Saying this, he thinks in his mind that the divine treasure must be around here. Then suddenly the system shows that you are very close to the China location of this treasure map. Sun Ku walks ahead and asks, "What is this ahead?" Which is hidden. And we are finally about to leave the blizzard area. Lu Fan looks ahead where there is very good light coming from. And the scenery is shining all around. Sun Ku is surprised to see this and says, "This is a very beautiful place." Lu Fan was also surprised and he says that there is such a big lake. "Oh wait, can this be the sea?" Chen Kong says that the sky is so clear that it seems as if we have come out of the far north. The captain says, "Oh my god, let's find a place to sit first." After this, everyone gets down on the ground. And the captain says, "There is this huge chain under the snow. What is it actually connected to?" Chen Kong says, "Can we reach the ruins mentioned by Li Lo by following the direction of the chain?" Then Lu Fan feels something strange. The system shows that you have reached the marked location in the treasure map. Lu Fan looks back. He sees something like an egg. And then he immediately runs towards it. And after seeing it, he thinks in his mind, "I have found it, it can surely be a dragon egg." And then he removes the snow and looks. It is indeed an egg. And then he picks up the egg and thinks in his mind, as expected, the fourth dragon egg is still safe? And it is a blue egg. What should be its level? Friends, the chapter ends here. Do tell us by commenting what could be the level of this dragon. Friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see what happens next. See you in the next chapter. Till then, take care. Hello friends, welcome once again to the Dragon Tamer series. Friends, in the last chapter we saw that Luo was lying on the ground. And Sun Ku was crying seeing him because he was his fiancé. In a while, the energy of the fallen corpse starts coming out of his body. And his face starts changing. However, he had come to his real senses. And he was also crying. In a while, his hand slips and he dies. Seeing this, Sun starts crying badly. So let's start today's chapter. Seeing Sun crying, Lu Fan tries to calm her down. Captain Lu was still worried as the danger was not over yet, and he looks at Lu Fan and says, "Hey Lu Fan, we are all thankful to you and Jiao Ji, and we are all saved. But we should also keep this in mind. The incident with Li Luo is not a normal incident. And so I suggest that we should immediately go back to the camp." After hearing this, Lu Fan replies, "I know this, but it will take time for Sun Ku to come out of this state. Because Sun Ku is very sad for his fiancée." Meanwhile, a purple aura emanates from inside Lu Luo. Captain Lu is shocked to see this and says what is happening, he is still not dead. Lu Fan immediately takes action with his dragon sword and thinks to himself that the energy of the fallen corpse is still inside Li Luo and it is heading towards the blood moon. And I think this energy is key to understanding the corpse Dasho. We can't let it escape because Lu Fan understood that as it gets closer to the blood moon, it will take on an even more terrifying form. Lu Fan tries to block the energy with his dragon sword at the same time, and runs after it to catch it, and then cuts it in half. As the energy is cut in half, the essence of the fallen corpse inside it flows out in the form of a crystal. This is the essence of the fallen corpse. As Lu Fan takes the crystal in his hand, a strange color of gratitude appears around him. And he thinks to himself that this is the sacred essence obtained by Charles of Star Trips. Could it be the same as the essence of the fallen corpse? Lu Fan is still thinking to himself that if this is the case, then this essence of the fallen corpse can allow one to go into the hidden profession or even make us a servant of the ancient god. The captain looks at Lu Fan and asks, "Hey Lu Fan, is it safe for us to carry such a strange object?" Lu Fan doesn't answer the captain. He stood in place and wondered, according to this logic, would Charles also pledge loyalty to the ancient god? Because when Lu Lu was a demon, he said, "Obey me and I will give you divine essence, which will have unimaginable power." And he also said to be a loyal servant of the gods and devote everything you have for their resurrection. Lu Fan understood this and he looked at Captain Lu and said, "Hey Captain, we can handle it right now, but we have to hand it over to Senior Tu soon." Hearing Lu Fan's words, the captain replies, "I understand." And then he looks back. Sen Ku is digging a hole in the snow. Seeing her, the captain understands and tells Lu Fan that we have to wait a little more to go back. Lu Fan becomes sad seeing this. And he says, "Captain Lu, we should also help Sen Ku," and then everyone moves forward to help Sen Ku, and then everyone together digs a big hole in which they start burying Lu Lo. Sen Ku says while putting snow on him, "I thought you would also remember me the same way I do. But now I am convinced that it was an unfortunate misunderstanding of mine." Lu Fan hears this and goes to Sen Ku and says, "No feeling, it's true. We heard it ourselves that he likes you too." Sen's replies, "Thank you, Fan," and then she smiles at the same time, stands up and puts on her glasses and says, "Strong sister Sen Ku is back to her old self. And hey Captain Lu, I'm fine now, and what's our next step?" Everyone treated him with silence as usual and he never missed a mention of Li Luo. The captain was happy to hear this and said, "Everyone get ready to go back to Team 78's camp." Everyone replied, "Hey sir." And then they put their coordinates to the location and flew away on their eagles. Sen Ku also placed the necklace given to him by Lu Luo at the place where he buried her and also placed her badge there. And that day he realized that he had said goodbye to his lover. The next afternoon, Lu Fan comes to Senior Tu's room and places the crystal in front of him. Senior Tu is surprised to see the crystal and says, "So is this the one? Now I understand." He starts thinking. Lu Fan says at the same time, "Senior Tu, I have a hypothesis based on everything that has happened. Should I tell you?" Senior Tu replies, "Yes, tell me." Lu Fan explains that there are certain conditions to become a servant of the ancient god, that is, the deceased Griffin squad members and various fierce beasts can only become puppets of the corpse. While the fact that beasts cannot become servants of the ancient god, it is possible that this reflects a lack of intelligence. Servants of the ancient god cannot become creatures. The reason for this appears to be a loss of intelligence. But servants of the ancient god retain the ability to think, while Li Liao was being completely controlled by the essence of the corpse. Ultimately, becoming a servant of the ancient god through essence also involves the selection of the ancient god. Senior Tu looks at the crystal in his hand seriously and says, "This means you are saying that it is not enough to rely only on this object to become a corpse's slave. It needs the approval of the ancient god to obtain its power." Lu Fan replies, "I'm afraid that's the case. And it seems that only sentient beings are more likely to do so. Because Li Luo also said that corpses have the ability to leave this place." After listening to Lu Fan, Senior Tu says, "Your hypothesis is interesting and reminds me of the rumors of recent years." And then Senior Uncle explains that in recent years, there have been reports of strange cults in more than a dozen countries. And these cultists claim to have the blessings of the gods and aggressively expand churches and gather believers with great force and announce the awakening of the gods, if what Li Luo says is true. So these cultists are either servants of the ancient god or his followers. Lu Fan hears this and thinks to himself, over a dozen countries. Does this mean that over a dozen ancient gods are starting to awaken? And then Lu Fan also gets very serious and looks at Senior Tu and asks, "Hey Senior Tu, is this camp the only populated area in the far north region so far?" Senior Uncle replies, "Yes, sure." And then Lu Fan asks, "How many members of the Griffin squad are missing? Like Li Lu is missing." Senior Uncle is surprised to hear this. And then he replies, "Wait, are you saying that they have become corpse slaves?" Lu Fan replies, "If some of them survived and left this place, then they might actually be corpse slaves. And we'd better announce a reward for finding them. And minimize any danger. Senior uncle becomes a little sad to hear this. And says, it's very sad for my brothers. They served the country and eventually became wanted. Lu Fan, seeing this, puts his hand on senior uncle's shoulder and says, there is no other way at this time. The brothers of Griffin's squad will understand, right? Senior uncle replies, I understand. And then he extends his hand towards the crystal and says, what to do with this object now? Lu Fan extends his hand and says, we can also use this essence to test my hypothesis. Senior uncle is surprised to hear Lu Fan's words. What do you want to say? I don't understand anything you say. And then he says, if we can't test it on people, then who will we test it on? Lu Fan replies, you are right, and you don't have to think about it. Because I will try to use it on my dragon. Friends, this chapter ends here. And what will happen next, we will see in the next chapter. Friends, this time can you fulfill my dream of getting 1,000 likes on this video?